I don't like to extract teeth. I like to save them. How do I do that? What makes my philosophy or practice different than others? I was trained to do endodontics or root canal therapy from my dental school training. We were the first class in the whole country to get that undergraduate in actual dental school. We didn't have to go to postgraduate training in endodontics to learn how to do it. And when I got to Japan and they found out I had that training, they made me the base endodontist. It's the procedure I like to do the least, but I got so successful at doing it with such successful outcomes that a third of my entire practice is retreating failed root canals. Now, when somebody, the things that cause people to extract teeth are bone loss, periodontal problems. We don't see as many of those as we used to. But sensitivity in teeth, either before treatment or after treatment, is one of the reasons that teeth get extracted. And then cracked roots is something that everybody talks about, but we don't see it 5 or 10% of the time that somebody says, we think you have a cracked root, you need the tooth extracted. By looking at the sensitivity and whether it's hot or cold or to pressure or what's causing the discomfort, is it constant, is it sharp, we can pretty much determine if it's correctable just by doing a bite adjustment. In other words, the most common reason why teeth are sensitive is people bruise them. And then that bruising goes all the way to the end of the root and interferes with blood flow. And then the radiator effect of the tooth, of the blood going through, can't heat the tooth up when you have stuff that's cold. And so 9 out of 10 teeth that are sensitive, it has to do with trauma to the tooth from biting or from grinding or from clenching in your sleep. And so that eliminates 90% of all the teeth that get root canals. And after you do restorative dentistry or you do fillings, when the patient is numb, it's really hard for them to cooperate correctly to tell you if the filling is too high. And if the filling is too high, it will hurt for years. And all it takes is an adjustment to take that interference or that high spot off of the new filling or the crown or whatever treatment you've done, and the sensitivity goes away almost instantly. So we look at those things, and we don't believe every tooth that someone says is cracked. And we can actually disassemble teeth that have had root canals and see down the canal that there is no crack. If a crack on a root will probe to the end of the root. And it's very specific. It doesn't probe all the way around the tooth. It will probe right down the crack. So it's really easy to verify if a tooth is cracked. And 9 out of 10 teeth that come into my office with an explanation that someone else said the tooth was cracked are not actually cracked. And they're very salvageable. 9 out of 10 teeth that come in here with sensitivity that would, in other environments, go to a root canal specialist and have a root canal done, do not need a root canal. And we have 10, 20, 30, 40-year longevity on these improved diagnoses, which eliminate cracked roots and sensitive teeth from needing root canals because they weren't cracked roots and the sensitivity was just a bite adjustment. And then a lot of times there's not a lot of tooth left. And dentists will say, or other dentists will say, well, it's non-restorable. We can't fix it. There's not enough tooth there. Well, we restore those teeth virtually 99% of the time. And we have very good long-term track records on teeth that other people say there isn't enough tooth structure to put a crown on. And we do that routinely by doing the root canal, by redoing the root canal, by putting a post and core, a fiber post and core in there. And we don't have to move the gum tissue away. We can put a crown on a tooth with nothing above the teeth, above the tissue. And other professionals won't even try that because they've been told in school that it's not predictable. Well, it's not predictable if you never try. But if you try, you find out that the success rate on these teeth that are non-restorable is over 90% over 10, 20, 30 years. And that's not to say that we don't get failures. But when you do literally multiple thousands of these over a 50-year career, and you only get about 3 or 4 back a year that failed, you're knocking it out of the ballpark.